Hello and welcome to our quick guide to preparing an abstract for the 2023 Health and Care Analytics Conference. At this conference, we're celebrating analysts as influencers, and this is a great opportunity for you to showcase your work and to inspire and empower others at the first national conference of its kind. We're looking for examples of work that answers or explores challenges, drives change, or showcases innovation in analytics. It doesn't matter if it's a huge national project or a small local one, we want to shine a light on great work from analysts at all levels, so please don't be humble. The submission process is really simple, and the conference team is here to support you at every step of the way.
Although the submission process is simple, there are some things we'd recommend you do. Firstly, set up an account so that you can access the submission portal. You'll need your name and email address at this stage. Then you can make your submission when you're ready. You only have 300 words for your abstract submission. This means that you'll have to keep things quite high level because you won't have the space to go into any great detail. Rather than typing straight away into the text box on the submission page, we recommend that you open a Word document so that you can draft and edit your abstract until you're ready to submit it. It will also be helpful to have any relevant project notes to hand too. Using a Word document first will also allow you to check that your word count is within the allowed limit before you press submit. You're going to have to think really hard about what you want to get across, what you need to include and what you're going to have to leave out. Your abstract will need to address 5 key questions, which we'll look at in more detail next. Remember that the conference organisers are looking for examples of work that either informs, empowers or teaches your peers in the analyst community working in health and care. Don't worry if you weren't the lead person on this piece of work. If you've been part of a larger team with this project, you can still submit an abstract. There will be room to cite all of the authors or members of your team. So when it comes to writing your abstract structure, this is broadly what you need to include. Number 1, why did you do the work? What was the problem or issue at hand? What was the motivation behind this work? Number 2, what did you do? What was the aim or objective of this work? Number 3, how did you choose to do it? What methods did you use? Number 4, what was the result? What did you find? And crucially, number 5, what was your conclusion? What were the learning points for you and what is it that your peers can learn from? Try writing a bullet point for each aspect of these abstract points at this stage. If you're unsure about addressing any of these areas or what to include, don't forget you can reach out to the conference office for support at any time. We want to make sure that all the abstracts, posters and presentations are written in a way that is clear and easy to understand. The structure of these will definitely help, and so will the language you use. Because not all delegates will have the same degree of expertise and knowledge as you, so you need to keep your language as simple as you can so that other delegates can understand what you're telling them the first time they read it or hear it. Tim Radford, the former science editor of The Guardian, advised aspiring science journalists that, quote, no one will ever complain that you have made something too simple to understand. And we think this is a really great piece of advice to think about when you're writing your abstract. So keep the following tips in mind. Number 1, write as if you were telling a colleague who doesn't know about your work. Explaining your work to someone else can be really helpful because you'll soon find out which bits are tricky to explain, and let them ask questions. This will highlight the areas that you need to work on to clarify further. Number 2, keep your sentences short and only include one idea in any one sentence. Long and convoluted sentences can muddy the main message that you're trying to convey. And number 3, try and think of simpler alternatives to common phrases. We'll be looking at some examples in a moment. To give you a flavour of what we mean by writing simply, here's a few quick examples of alternatives to common phrases. These can help to lighten your language and make it less formal. Another good tip to ensure your abstract is written as clearly as possible is to avoid writing in a passive voice. The passive voice is a way of writing sentences where the subject has the action done to it, which means the object of the sentence comes first. You see this a lot in scientific writing. But the passive voice makes your writing sound very formal, and it can also make your sentences more complicated and wordy. So rather than say, "A bespoke dataset was assembled for the purposes of this project," turn it into an active phrase and say, "We assembled a bespoke dataset." Similarly, why write "Statistical analyses were carried out using controlled methods," when you can simply say, "We carried out statistical analyses," or even, "We analysed." It's a simple change that will make your writing clearer to read and therefore easier to understand. And because the active voice tends to use fewer words, it will also help you to stay within your word limit. It may be helpful to look at some examples of 300-word abstracts linked below. Once you're happy with what you've written and it's within the allowed word count, go back to the conference portal and click on the tab that says Submitting an Abstract. There you can complete the submission form. The deadline for abstracts is the 27th of March. You're submitting your abstract to what is known as a blind peer review process. This simply means that your submission will be anonymised so that the panel who review the abstracts will not know who has submitted it, so you can be sure that the successful abstracts will be selected on merit alone. You'll be informed shortly after the deadline date whether your submission has been selected, and if it has, you'll be offered further support with either your poster or your presentation. If your abstract is declined, you'll receive feedback to help you improve for next time. The call for abstracts is open now, and we hope you found these tips helpful in preparing your submission. But please remember, if you're struggling with any aspect, help is available. You can contact the conference team and they will arrange some support for you. Good luck!